Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ratchet and Clank, but instead of the Florana galaxy, we're instead in the United States of America. Essentially, to sum it all up, we're On a more serious note, this is a very simple mod in concept. Literally, every single time I gain health in any way, shape, or form, I have to pay 1,000 bolts. Whether it be a nanotech upgrade or just losing health in general, it will all cost me 1,000 bolts. This challenge is basically just going to be seeing how far I can get, how many hits I can avoid, and just overall what arsenal we're going to end up with at the end of this. Because we're obviously going to be lower on bolts than we're used to. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of weapons we end up with. And as per usual, I will have a bonus challenge for this video, no armor allowed. Anyways, huge shout out to Alados5 for making this mod. Be sure to check him out, guys. He does all sorts of PlayStation Classic streams. Check him out on Twitch and YouTube. Without further ado, let's get started. Veldon gave us a great opportunity to collect a lot of bolts, since it's very unlikely we're going to get hit here. That was until this guy hip shot me during the F sector section of this planet, costing 1,000 bolt down payment. I should also mention, for every time we upgrade our nanotech, it also costs an additional 1,000, since technically we are being healed by that additional 1. So Veldon alone cost us 3,000 bolts to beat. Fortunately, completing Veldon gives you 3,000 bolts anyways, so technically we broke even. Now unfortunately, this mod was a bit broken, and every time I loaded into a planet, it would technically kill us and take all of our money, since for some reason, every time the planet loads in this game, it gives us 0 health. So technically a deathless run is physically impossible, because according to the game's coding, every time you load a planet, you die. Essentially, I just needed to turn off the mod every time I loaded a planet, which essentially just means that every time I reload a planet, I will have full health, regardless of what we ended the last planet with. This does suck a little bit, but in the end of the day, there wasn't much I could do. When it came to Florana, we were able to make it all the way to the Inferno section without taking a single hit. Unfortunately, once we got in here, we get slashed across the face, taking 4 total damage. Fortunately, we have around 15,000 bolts as of now, which means we could afford the hospital bills to heal up. Now here's the major catch to this challenge. It's not every nanotech crate that costs 1,000. It's every tick of nanotech, meaning this crate gave us 2 nanotech, which in this case costs 2,000 bolts total. Nanotech crates in this game heal around 15 to 20% of our total nanotech, meaning if we keep taking damage, this is going to get very, very expensive very fast. Anyways, we did unfortunately end up getting hit again during the Path of Death, as well as a hit during the Quark fight, which did a massive 5 damage. This left us with 5,000 bolts, making buying any weapon at this point completely impossible. We either need to stop taking damage, or we won't be able to buy any weapons, which will screw us very bad later in the game. Anyways, our next stop is Capital City on planet Marcadia. When it came to the first section, we almost made it to the dropship damage list until this cheeky shot by this Noid, robbing us of more of our college funds. We were able to do mission 1, 2, 3, and 4 without taking a single hit, meaning we were able to get the N60 Storm, which finally gives us another weapon to work with. Not that there's anything wrong with the Shock Blaster or the Nitro Launcher, I just keep tending to run out of ammo, so having the N60 as a backup is really good. Unfortunately, on mission 5, we got sniped by one of the dropship lasers, which is always very frustrating damage to take, because you can't really control it. This dealt 5 damage to us, which sucked. We were able to get through the laser defense facility without taking a single hit, leaving the planet with a total of 19,000 bolts. Almost halfway to the next weapon on my radar. On Annihilation Nation, we were able to flee flawlessly during the gauntlet, as well as all 10 rounds on the arena challenge, which is something I wasn't expecting. Now, I know I said I wouldn't grind for bolts, but this extra bonus challenge was thought of after the fact that I did the 2 terrible 2 missions. Not that it mattered, since we came in the fight with 18,000 and only left with 19,000 since we took a hit from Helen, and for 2-minute warning, we only netted an extra 3k, getting us to 22,000 bolts, again, because we took a hit. After this, like I said during the rules, there will be no more going back and grinding for bolts. If we're poor, we are poor. No mortgage payments, no electrical payments, nothing. We are broke. Anyways, we were able to do Aquados entirely damageless. So other than a few nanotech upgrades, we were able to leave this planet with 34,000 bolts, almost enough to get the lava gun, which was the next weapon on my radar, since it's only 40,000 bolts, and the weapon is really good early game, really good mid game, and pretty decent end game. It's not amazing, but for 40,000, it's pretty good. Everything was going well on Tyrannosis until I upgraded my N60, making me take a hit from these mechs, which sucks. I'm trying to buy me some damn groceries, but the insurance company keeps stealing my money because I keep getting hit. Before we are ever able to heal up, we take a few more hits heading to the first turret node. This next path was no better, leaving this area with 2 nanotech with only enough bolts to heal 21 more, meaning full health at this point wasn't even possible. I am never getting the lava gun, am I? Before heading to the final node, we use the last of our money to get us to 26 health, which helps us survive another hit before Ratchet entirely mistimes his jump and kills us instantly. Anyways, thanks Ratchet. Yay, we are now officially behind on our electric bill, car payments, and we are also 1 measly hit from death by any enemy. Meaning we had to beat the Tyrannoid Mother with only 3 health. This is going to be a tricky fight. Luckily, we were able to get through phase 1 on our first try, until unfortunately, we upgraded our shock blaster to the shock cannon, which normally would be a fantastic thing, except for the fact that the cutscene ended earlier than I was expecting, and I just stood there and took this missile right to the face, killing me and leaving me, once again, one-shottable. Fortunately, we were actually able to beat her next attempt without taking a single hit. Next up is Planet Dax, but not before we do a boring tutorial section with the hacker and swing shot. We first head to the charge boot path as per usual, where we take an unfortunate hit to the Gatling gun guy before finally obtaining the charge boots. We then head to the gunship path as per usual, with a total of 17 health, which doesn't necessarily seem like it's enough to survive a shot, so we have to be pretty careful with our platforming. Fortunately, I was wrong as I did take another hit, bringing us down to 4 health. This challenge is not going in my favor in the slightest. Fortunately, the gunship fight was a good break, having really easy to dodge moves, making it very possible and honestly very easy to beat him without taking a single hit of damage. Now, unfortunately, even though Courtney Gears is like extremely hot, unfortunately, her hotness just wasn't enough to heal us, which really does suck. This next section was going to be insane, since we are basically one-shottable the entire time. And immediately upon climbing this elevator, we get shot and die instantly. We die another 2 times trying to get through this next area, one of them by this insane sniper shot. These guys have some crazy accuracy, especially on PS3. Our next attempt was a lot better. With some good N60 use and a few shock cannon weaves, we were able to make it to the first hacker section. Unfortunately, after the hacker section, we immediately get sniped again. I swear, this must be like a PS3 glitch. I always thought they were supposed to aim before firing, and I don't know about you guys, but I didn't see a laser sight here. Maybe I'm just crazy, maybe it shows up in the video and I'm just an idiot, but I did not see a laser sight. Those bros literally 360 no-scoped me. Anyways, once we get through Dax, we head to Abani Gemini and Pollux, where we're able to get through here without too many issues, only taking 1 small hit to the wallet with a $12,000 payment. Meaning, once again, I can't afford my groceries. God, it's like we're actually in America right now. This is ridiculous. Blackwater City was a pretty easy planet, doing the first mission damageless while also obtaining the N90 Hurricane, which will pack a lot more punch than the N60, as well as having a better rate of fire and more ammo in general. Mission 2 was also done damageless, finally putting us over the threshold to buy the lava gun. We just had to be very careful with Mission 3 to make sure we don't lose our life savings. It took us a long time to get this, and 1 single hit is all it will take. After all, I am really behind on my student loans, and I'd like to put down a down payment. Other than a few nanotech upgrades, we were actually able to do this entire planet damageless, leaving the planet with 84,000 bolts, the most amount we've had the entire time, which of course finally gives us access to the lava gun, my sweet, sweet lava gun. Now that we have this weapon, I set my sights on the next weapon, which is either going to be the flux rifle or the disc blade gun, depending on how much money we could save up. After buying the lava gun, we're at 44,000 now, so the goal is to save up to 175,000 to get the disc blade gun, but in the end of the day, if we only get 75,000, the flux rifle is still a really good weapon, even late game. Anyways, it's now time for Annihilation Nation 2, fleeing flawlessly once again on the gauntlet before facing Jim Ward as Scorpio, who of course I get hit by at least once. I hate this fight. Hollow Star Studios was a really good planet for us to grind bolts on, since we actually were able to do this entire planet without taking a single hit. This planet is really easy if you just shock cannon weave, since all it really is just a bunch of hordes of enemies. So we were able to leave this planet with around 70,000 bolts, only a couple thousand away from the flux rifle. Unfortunately, right as we had 75,000 bolts for the flux rifle, we did get hit on our way to the Courtney Gears fight. Once again, costing us a large sum of money getting us further and further away from the Flux Rifle. When it came to the actual fight with Courtney Gears, we were able to do her entirely damageless, which was really surprising to me, bringing us back to 63,000 bolts. Not quite enough, but there's a chance we could maybe get the Flux Rifle. Like, there's no way we don't end up with the Flux Rifle, right? Like, there's just no way. Anyways, it's now time for Zeldron Starport, where we are also able to get through the entire Leviathan section absolutely damageless. And this area has a lot of bolts. By the time we finished this area, we had 100,000 bolts, which was easily enough to get the Flux Rifle. The only issue was I decided to instead try and save up for maybe the Annihilator or the Disc Blade gun. I'm being a little bit greedy here, but hopefully it ends up paying off. With Zeldron Starport out of the way, it is now time for Metropolis. Metropolis is where things unfortunately went downhill. Remember we had enough money to buy the Flux Rifle? Yeah, not anymore. We get insta-shot by one of these green guys, losing over 40,000 bolts. You think before we healed up and I had 100,000 bolts still that I'd try to, buy a weapon? Yeah, no. Instead, I walked directly into the dropship's lasers and died, leaving me with 8,000 bolts. And I know what you're thinking. You guys are like, wait, but Ninja, you had over 100,000 bolts. How did you lose so much? You don't have that much health. Yeah, so since we're on Metropolis, and this is where the Tyrannoids become robots, I figured with there being less humans that now need healthcare, the healthcare rate itself would get more expensive. Meaning we now have to pay 2,000 bolts every time we needed health. Essentially doubling any amount of debt we already had, which is why this took so much money from us. This is going to be very rough and essentially kept us in a one-shot range during the entirety of Metropolis. Though I will say, we didn't die at all through the rest of the level up until Clunk. Unfortunately, Clunk yeeted himself off the edge again, officially being the second time I've ever seen this glitch. Now unfortunately, this doesn't count him as dead, and I was forced to restart the fight by death abusing. Now, I was able to refund my bolts that I lost during the fight, since I felt a bit cheated by Clunk, and on the next attempt I was able to take out Clunk completely damageless. Crash Site was an absolute mess. It all started out fine, using our lava gun to clear the first sections while heading back for ammo when it's needed. Then after refilling the ammo, my ADHD kicked in so hard, and I looked away from the screen for literally like a second, and just like that, our bank account was completely drained. Honestly, other than that shot, we were able to get through the rest of the section up until the elevator just fine. So maybe this planet wasn't that bad. Anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get the nano pack because it's helpful. I definitely wasn't distracted here playing Ranger Rumble. Damn it, I can't help it. Lump is just the GOAT. This was probably the stupidest mistake I've ever made in a challenge, and definitely one of the most punishing. But you know what? It was entirely my fault. So yeah, there goes any chance of getting another weapon. Fortunately, after we do successfully get the nano pack, the rest of the level was done entirely damageless, getting us the coordinates to H22's birthday on Aridia. Mission 1 and 2 were the same as always, being done entirely damageless, and all I can say for Mission 3 is that we came in with 20,000 bolts and left the entirety of the planet with only 30,356. Now mind you, the final mission alone gives us 30,000 bolts. We took damage here so many times on every mission that we lost any potential of profit throughout all of the missions. So once again, no new weapons for us. Quark's hideout was a pain as usual. We started with some shot cannon weaves to take out the first wave of enemies before getting hit during the icy section because, well, ice physics suck! Though we don't actually die to this section, and I will admit, I did have to deal with these enemies in a very non-conventional way. But hey, it's not my fault Insomniac can't make good ice levels. Need I remind you about their last one? This next section took some good cum gun maneuvering to kill all of the bots while avoiding all their shots successfully. This next spot, I used my N90 to try and snipe these Quark bots from afar. This did work for me, fortunately. Less fortunately, right as we came down, we got shot directly in the face, leaving us with 5 health. At this point, we are on the final part of the level, but other than a few straggler ammo crates, we are basically completely out of ammo at this part. We did have just enough for a single shockwave, which took out a large amount of the first wave of enemies. Then we had to optimize our 20 shots from the cum gun. Fortunately, this gun is very nice at reserving ammo, and it was just barely enough to kill enough Quark bots to open the door. And even though we can't kill them, with this door being open, we can quickly jump over them, closing the door behind us. beating Quark's hideout. We then head back to home base at the Starship Phoenix, and unfortunately the US government saw how good I did on Quark's hideout, and they sent ninjas to the Phoenix to run my bank account dry. And yeah, I hate to admit it, but yeah, this worked. Many times. God, I love this country. On Koros, we took a few hits early, but at this point, like, do I even care? America has robbed Ratchet of everything he is worth. So why should I even care anymore? Like, even though this planet is the Bolt planet, it still isn't enough to get us remotely close to buying anything. I was able to skip a few robots at the end of this level with this cool wall jump strat I learned recently, skipping a good bit of enemies. On Command Center, I don't know what I was thinking, but I made sure to destroy every single light in the beginning area, because I guess those few measly bolts just might help. Newsflash, they didn't. I immediately got shot and killed. This entire planet was just going to be me avoiding every single enemy I could, since from this point forward, we're never going to end up with more bolts, and we're going to be a one-shot kill for the rest of the game. As insane as this sounds though, I was able to get through the entire level immediately after that first death. No issues at all. None. No way I bonked at the final door. No, not me. I hate this game. Anyways, it's time for Nefarious, the tankiest boss in the entire saga. And all we have to defeat him is the Shock Cannon, Nitro Eruptor, N90 Hurricane, and the Liquid Cum Gun. I mean, the Liquid Nitrogen Gun. That's it. I was not able to buy anything else throughout the entire playthrough. Thanks, America. But don't worry, guys. If there's one thing I know I can do, having played this game a trillion times, it's how to beat Nefarious under the worst circumstances possible. Let's do this! Yeah, it's not possible. Not getting health back and not having enough ammo just makes the fight completely impossible, unfortunately. It would be nice if we had enough bolts to get some DoorDash so we can get some ammo, but unfortunately, expecting to get 250k to afford DoorDash and then to have the delivery fees of DoorDash coming to the Nefarious fight to give me more ammo, not happening. So unfortunately, this challenge in the current circumstances is not possible. RIP. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed. Again, huge shout out to Alados5 for making this mod. This mod is out for all 4 Ratchet & Clank PS2 games. So if you guys want to try this with any other game, or if you want to see me try it with any other game, please let me know in the comments below. Remember, if you get to 6k subs by the end of the month, I will do Ratchet Deadlocked with only the B6 Obliterator, but on Exterminator difficulty with no Omega mods. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to all my members. You guys are amazing. I really appreciate all the support. Thank you for the continued support. I'm planning to have some member content out soon before we get to the holiday season. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. But Ninja out.